All right, chapter 15. We got up early and went hunting for food for the little people. We were tired and cranky, and it took time for us to come to life. After a while, I asked Ever what the little people like to eat. Meat, he replied. Any kind of animal, they don't care. How many animals will we need to catch? I asked. Well, there's 12 of them. They don't eat a lot. I guess one rabbit or hedgehog between two of them. A larger animal, a fox or a dog, might feed three or four. Can you eat hedgehogs? I asked. The little people can, Ever said. They're not fussy. They'd eat rats and mice too, but we'd have to catch a lot to feed so many, so they're not worth bothering with. We each took a sack and headed off in different directions. Ever told me the meat didn't have to be fresh, so if I found a dead badger or squirrel, I could stick it in the bag and save some time. I spotted a fox a couple of minutes into the hunt. It had a chicken in its mouth and was on its way home. I tracked it till the moment was right, then jumped on it from behind a bush and dragged it to the ground. The dead chicken flew out of its mouth, and the fox turned, snarling, to bite me. Before it could attack, I moved quickly, grabbed its neck, and twisted sharply to the left. There was a loud crack, and that was the end of the fox. I chucked the chicken into the bag, a nice bonus, but hung on to the fox for a few minutes. I needed blood, so I found a vein, made a small cut, and started sucking. Part of me hated this. It seemed so inhuman, but I reminded myself that I wasn't human anymore. I was half vampire. This is how my kind acted. I felt bad killing foxes and rabbits and pigs and sheep the first few times, but I got used to it. I had to. Could I get used to drinking human blood? That was the question. I hoped I could avoid feeding on humans, but by the way I was running out of energy, I knew I'd eventually have to, or die. I tossed the fox's corpse into the bag, then went on hunting. I found a family of rabbits washing their ears in a nearby pond. I crept as close as I could and then struck without warning. They scattered in fear, but not before I got my sharp fingernails into three of the little ones. I added them to the contents of the bag and decided that was enough for this trip. I figured the fox, chicken, and rabbits would easily feed 6 or 7 of the blue hoods. I met Ever back at camp. He'd found a dead dog and badger and was feeling pretty pleased with himself. The easiest day of hunting I've ever. Why my key's not working? Okay. Had, he said. Plus, I found a field full of crows. We'll go out there tonight and steal one. That'll keep the little people going for a day or two at least. Won't the farmer who owns them notice? I asked. There are at least 100 of them, Ever said. By the time he gets around to counting them, we'll all be long gone. But cows cost money, I said. I don't mind killing wild animals, but stealing from a farmer is different. We'll leave money for him, Ever said with a sigh. Where will we get it? I asked. Ever smiled. The one thing we're never short of at the Cirque du Freak is money, he assured me. Later, our chores finished, we teamed up with Sam again. He'd been waiting in the bushes for hours. Why didn't you come into the camp? I asked. I didn't want to interrupt, he said. Besides, I thought somebody might have let the wolf man out. He didn't seem to like me when I saw him yesterday. He's like that with everyone, Ever told him. Maybe, Sam said, but I figured it's best not to take chances. Sam was in a questioning mood. He obviously been thinking about us a lot since the day before. Don't you ever wear shoes? He asked Everett. No, Ever said. The soles of my feet are extra tough. What happens if you step on a thorn or nail? Sam asked. Ever smiled, sat down, and gave Sam his foot. Try scratching it with the sharp twig, he said. Sam broke off a branch and poked Ever's sole. It was like trying to make a hole in a tough leather. A sharp piece of glass might slice me, Ever said, but that doesn't happen very often, and my skin's getting tougher every year. I wish I had skin like that, Sam said enviously. Then he turned to me. How come you wear the same suit all the time? He asked. I looked down at the suit I'd been buried alive in. I'd meant to ask for some new clothes, but had forgotten. I like it, I said. I've never seen a kid wearing a suit like that before, Sam said. Not unless they were at a wedding or funeral. Are you forced to wear it? No, I said. Did you ask your parents if you could join the Cirque? Everett said, then, to distract Sam's attention. No, Sam sighed. I told them about it, of course, but I figured it would be best to take it slowly. I wouldn't tell them until just before I leave, or maybe not until I'm gone. So you plan to join? I asked. You bet, Sam said. I know you tried scaring me away, but I'll get in somehow. You wait, I'll keep coming around. I'll read books and learn everything there is to know about the freak shows, and then I'll go to your boss and state my case. You won't be able to turn me down. Everett and I smiled at each other. We knew Sam's dream would never lead to anything, but we didn't have the heart to tell him. We went to see an old deserted railroad station about 2 miles away, which Sam had told us about. It's great, he said. They used to work on trains there, repair and paint them, and stuff like that. It was a busy station when it was open. Then a new station opened closer to the city, and this place went bankrupt. It's a great place to play. There are rusty old railroad tracks, empty sheds, a guardhouse, and a couple of ancient train cars. Is it safe? Edvar asked. My mother says it isn't, Sam told us. It's one of the few places she tells me to stay away from. She says I could fall through the roof of one of the cars or trip on a rail or something. But I've been there lots of times and nothing's ever happened. It was another sunny day, and we were walking slowly under the shade of the trees when I smelled something strange. I stopped and sniffed the air. Ever could smell it too. What is that? I asked. I don't know, he said, sniffing the air next to me. Which way is it coming from? I can't tell, I said. It was a thick, heavy, sour smell. Sam hadn't smelled anything and kept walking ahead of us. Then he realized we weren't beside him, stopped, and turned to see what was going on. What's wrong? He asked. Why aren't you? Gotcha, a voice yelled behind me, and before I could move, I felt a firm hand grab my shoulder and spin me around. I saw a large, hairy face, and then suddenly I was falling backward, thrown off balance by the force of the hand. And I have to entry.